The reality is most executives, C-level executives, VPs, they're terrible at being interviewed when they're the job candidate. Yeah, most of them are. They're terrible because they've been out of the interview game for too long. They've been in the same job for a long time, so they haven't had to go on any job interviews. I see it all the time because that's what we do for a living here at Recruiting Firm Riderflex. We recruit people, right? That's what we do for a living. Well, we have a couple of CEO searches going on right now, so I've had the luxury of interviewing a bunch of executives in the last few weeks. I made some notes. I want to give you some updated tips. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, I've been hiring people for years. I've interviewed and hired thousands of people. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't. I take that back. You probably do, but you've forgotten, right? You've been on the bicycle in so long that you're going to get on and you're going to crash when you go for an interview. I'm going to give you 7 tips that are going to help you. Okay. These are going to help you. Now, you can comment or like on this post, even if you're not in the market. Feel free to disagree or add something that I might have left out. I'm going to give you 7 tips. So you could give 100 tips. Okay. We've written books about it at Riderflex. I've published a book called Mastering Job Interviews. So I've written a novel, so to speak, already, but these are 7 updated tips specifically for executives. All right. Here you go. Number 1, be humble. Most executives, especially C-level executives, when they are being interviewed, they're way too cocky, okay? Way overconfident. And they forget to give credit to the people they surrounded themselves with. They list off their accomplishments. They don't mention the team. They act like they did it all themselves. So they take a lot of the credit themselves. They kind of act like they're all that, like they're a big shot. And it comes across as arrogant, cocky in the interviews. Most high-level executives come across that way when they're having to go back and do an interview as a candidate. There's probably a lot of reasons that happens. Some of it is because they're just pissed off that they're having to look for another job, right? Like, oh, here I am. I used to be a CEO and now I'm having to interview with this 32-year-old recruiter, just, this recruiter who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And why am I here? Why am I having to do this? And so there's this anger, this frustration, which usually bleeds into them being an asshole or overly confident, etc. So number 1, be humble. Okay. Be humble. Most CEOs come across as way too cocky. That's the number 1 tip. Number 2, don't forget to establish an emotional connection with the person interviewing you. You're not too important to ask about the other person. Try to spark up a conversation of some kind, a human-to-human conversation. Don't just go into it reading off your list of accomplishments without bothering to even ask about the other person. Basic EQ, okay? Just don't forget that. Now, every executive listening to this knows that, but you forget because it kind of goes back to number 1. You're just pissed off that you're even there, most of you. So establish an emotional connection with the interviewer. Find some way to, I don't know, tug on their heartstrings, so to speak. Here's a great example of that. I'll give you a perfect example. If I'm interviewing you and you haven't even bothered to look at my profile on LinkedIn or check me out or make sure I'm legit as a recruiter, you don't know anything about me, you barely even know my name, I'm going to pick up on that. Meanwhile, other candidates that throw a compliment my way or do something to grab an emotional connection, maybe they saw that I like to go camping in the Colorado mountains or whatever, any little thing to establish an emotional connection, right? Ask questions, basic EQ skills, basic emotional intelligence skills. That's number 2. Number 3, do your freaking homework. It's the same thing. This goes back to number 1, being too cocky, right? Like, I get it. You were a CEO, you're a COO, you've done big things. That's awesome. Hey, you still got to do your homework. Study the company, study the job description, study the recruiter, study the recruiting firm, do all that ahead of time. Invest minutes. Okay. Don't come to the ball game without any pads on. Okay. Put your uniform on before you come to the game. Okay. Number 4. Practice. Yes, I'm serious. Practice. Most of you are so out of practice. You're so rusty. You can't even answer the basic question, tell me about yourself. Like, most of you just screw it up. You're terrible at it. Okay? I'm being serious because you haven't done it in so long. Okay. This goes back to riding the bicycle. Practice. Make a list of the most, I don't know, the 10 most common questions you get in an interview, which, by the way, you interview and hire people, so you know what those questions are. Make a list of those. Okay. Do this. Get your phone, record yourself answering those questions and watch it back. You'll see how painful it is. You're going to be like, oh man, it sucks. It's terrible. Most of you are super rusty. Okay. Practice. Okay. Doesn't matter how powerful your resume is. If you suck at interviewing, you're not going to get the job. So practice. Okay. That was number 4. Number 5. Follow the process. Okay. You're not too big to follow the process. Okay. You're not too important to follow the process. If you need to go through a junior level recruiter first, go through a junior level recruiter. If they want you to do a Zoom video conference, do a Zoom video conference. If they want you to go through 4 interview rounds, do that. Okay. If they want you to do a presentation or prepare a PowerPoint, whatever. Okay. Follow the freaking process. Okay. You're not too big. You're not too important to follow the process. And by the way, if you don't want to follow the process or you push back on it or you try to act like you shouldn't have to do something, you're just going to come across as an asshole and immediately be rejected. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that was number 5. Was that number 5? I think so. Number 6. Be nice to all the little people. Every recruiter, the assistant, the administrative assistant, the team members, whoever you're talking to. Okay. Be nice to everybody. Spend time asking them a couple of questions. Okay. Make a connection. Everybody counts because we're all talking about you, man. We're all talking about you. Okay. I know you as the C-level executive, you're thinking, look, in your head, you're just like, look, I just need to get to the main person. I just need to get it in the room with the CEO so they'll hire me. I need to get past all these little people and just get to the CEO. So you think you can be an asshole to the smaller people. No, that's not what's going to happen because that other CEO is going to go ask his team. He's going to ask the recruiter, hey, what do you think about Johnny? And then I'm going to say, yeah, he's an asshole. Don't hire him. Be nice to all the little people. Okay, number 7. By the way, I'm going to give you a couple of bonus tips in here too, but these are the main 7. Here's number 7. Most of the time, if you were a C-level executive, especially, okay, this applies to all those C-level executives for sure. Most of the time, if you're looking for a job because you're unemployed, most of the time it's because you were fired or let go or released because there was a merger, there was an acquisition, company closed, new board members came in, let you go, whatever. Like most of the time you were asked to leave for whatever reason. Okay. Just tell us. Okay. Just tell us, man. If you were terminated or asked to resign, especially at the C-level, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Somebody's going to find out. Okay. So stop beating around the bush. Just, if you fucked something up, just say, I fucked up. Okay. Say what happened. And most importantly, talk about what you learned from it. That's the key. Every C-level executive, including me, okay, we all mess up. All of us mess up. If you messed up or the board decided to make a change because you made some bad decisions or you decided to take a company in a certain direction, it didn't work out and the board replaced you, then just talk about it and explain. This is what happened. This is why I made the decisions I needed to make at the time. They ended up not being the right decisions. I got replaced. I learned from it, etc. That is so authentic and refreshing. It will help you get hired. Guarantee it. If you start beating around the bush and making shit up and hiding stuff, we all smell it from a mile away. It never helps you. Okay. It never helps you. Just tell us what happened. All right. Now, those are the main seven. I'm going to give you two bonus little topics here, two bonus topics. I don't know if these are tips or what you call them, but I'm going to give you two more things. And these are really based on what's happening in today's market. I'm recording this on March 14th, 2024 is when I'm recording this. AI is smarter than you. Large language models are smarter than any CEO on the planet. And it's just going to get worse or better. I don't know, however you define that. Okay. Literally, your team could ask ChatGPT something right now, and ChatGPT would probably answer it better than you could as a CEO. I'm just keeping it real, and that's going to increase. What is my point? My point is this. A lot of CEOs used to get the job because they were super smart, okay? Super smart, and had EQ. Most CEOs get the job because they have both. They're emotional intelligence, high emotional intelligence, and super high IQ. Most of the time, both. A little bit of both. Well, from now on, it almost doesn't matter how smart you are. Quite honestly, the level of IQ that you have, the importance of that is decreasing because of the advancement of AI. What's my point? My point is emotional intelligence and people skills is king. Okay. Even more than it used to be, way more than it used to be. The days of being able to be an asshole, okay, and still get the job because you're super smart, those days are over. Those days are over. I'm just telling you, those days are over. Can't do that anymore. Now you really got to have great people skills. And finally, the last thing I want to say, last little topic here is this. Take the job. Here's what I mean. Some of you are like, well, I'm used to making between 500 and 700K working remotely. And that's, where I really need to stay. And that's where I've been the last 5 years when I was a CEO. Now you're 58 years old, by the way, and nobody gives a shit what you did 30 years ago. Seriously, some of you that are older, okay, and by the way, no company is supposed to discriminate against you because of your age. We all know they're not supposed to do that, okay, but it happens. Okay, it happens. It's terrible that it happens, but it does. If you are used to making a lot of money and you've been in a C-level position and you got released or you're out of work for whatever reason, if you think that you can just sit around and wait for the next perfect job or the next CEO job and maybe get the same amount that you were making, good luck. Okay. Good luck. Most of the time that does not happen. There are very few mid-size to large size CEOs in the country compared to the number of people trying to get that job. Okay. if you were making 600 grand a year for the last 4 years as a CEO, and now you are unemployed and you've been unemployed for 6 months, okay, and you're up there in age, and you get a phone call from somebody offering you a VP job for 250 a year working remotely, I suggest you take it. Okay. Especially in today's market with the advancement of AI and robotics. I don't care what anybody says. There's going to be more layoffs. There's going to be more disruption in the market. It might get crazier. Don't sit around and wait for the perfect job. If you get an offer, freaking take it. Okay. Even if you don't want to put that on your LinkedIn, or if you don't want to tell your friends, whatever, take the job. Unless you're independently wealthy, and then do whatever the hell you want. Okay. But if you're not independently wealthy, I suggest take the job. Okay. That's my last tip of the day. And there is my full updated rant to all of the executives out there looking for a new job.